Hi. There are at least two kinds of files that you're using with Scratch, and you've already seen these whether you know it or not. When you load a program, either one that someone else has created or you've created, you'll recall that we click on File and then Open. And I've already navigated to the folder that I'm using for this demonstration. So we see this thing called Example Program. And we can go ahead and load it. And there it is. It's just a cat with a script that says this is an example. Now if we want to load a sprite, we click here. And normally Scratch takes you to these folders that you're familiar with for sprites that it provides to you. Okay, I've cut out the part where I navigated to the directory I'm looking for to save time. Anyway, here we are, and we have this blue cat sprite that I prepared, and we also see some other things, and these are just image files that I also put in this directory. But let's just load the sprite for now. You'll notice that it has one script associated with it. And there's our blue cat. If I reposition these guys here, this one will say I'm just an example, and this one says I'm a blue cat. Well, that's what those files look like in Scratch. What do they look like in a Windows browser? Well, I happen to have this here. And this is the program we loaded. It has a .sb extension. I assume S stands for Scratch. I'm not sure what B stands for. But anyway, this then is the sprite file. And it has a .sprite extension. And you'll notice that depending on whether we're looking for a program or a sprite, Scratch shows us different things. So if we're trying to load this program, I won't save this, it only shows us program files. We are looking right now at the same Windows directory that we're seeing in the browser here. But since only this example program file is actually a Scratch program, that's the only thing Scratch shows to us, because it's the only thing that's important to it right now. Okay? And similarly, if we're looking for a sprite, it again, this is the same directory that we're seeing in the Windows browser, but we don't see the program now because we're not looking for a program. And this sometimes confuses students. They will say, where did my sprite go, or where did my program go? Well, it depends what you're looking for at the time. If you're trying to load a program, Scratch will show you programs, and if you're trying to load a sprite, Scratch will show you sprites. But since in addition to sprites, you can load images as sprites, and you may not have known that if you haven't worked with it yet, but let's go back to my Windows directory here, and let's see these as thumbnails. And you can see we have images here. By the way, if you ever see this file scratchthumbs.db, this is something Scratch creates when it's showing you these files to sort of help itself out. So you can just ignore that, and it's not doing any harm. In fact, it's helping you, and Scratch will just take care of that file automatically. So if you see this file Scratch Thumbs, just ignore it. But as well as an existing sprite, we can load certain standard image types. JPEG is one kind, and if we load this, it just shows up as a sprite. And we can do anything to it that we would do to other sprites. And also it automatically sizes it to fit on the Scratch stage, which is pretty cool. Okay, I don't know that I've showed you how to save your own sprites yet. So This is from Star Trek if you don't recognize it. So let's just call that Trek. And when you want to save a sprite, you just right click on it and say export this sprite, and we'll save it with the name Trek. That's fine. And now the next time in fact, let's clear this and start a completely new program here. Okay, notice here's the original image, and now here's the image as a sprite. So that's how you save a sprite. You can save any sprite that way. You just right click on it and say export, and then it will save it as a .sprite file. And here's our Trek sprite. Alright, if you're using the Windows browser, there's one other trick you can do, which I haven't showed you yet. And that is, you can, in addition to loading files and sprites by using the Scratch dialog, you can drag and drop from a Windows browser. So if a Windows file browser. So if I want to load this program, this example program, which we loaded before through the Scratch dialogs, I can just drag this and drop it onto Scratch here, and the program loads. So that's another way to load a program. And similarly, if I want to bring in a sprite that I got through this dialog here before, what I can do instead is just find that sprite and once again drag it onto Scratch, and that sprite is now added to the program. Okay, there's one other thing we can do, and if we grab an image while we're in a new sprite dialog, that image will form a new sprite. But if we drag and drop an image, it will become a new costume for the sprite we've currently selected. So we see the blue cat here has just one costume. But if I drag and drop this image, we now see that this image has become a second costume for this sprite. And this is kind of in the way. Let me delete it. So now we see the blue cat has a blue cat costume, and it also has a photograph costume. So that's a little bit goofy. Okay, that's all about files for now.